In a world where most people dream of financial freedom yet spend their entire lives chained to paychecks, bills, and the endless wait for retirement, one voice stands out to challenge the norm. That voice is MJ DeMarco, the author of The Millionaire Fastlane, a book that shatters the illusion of the slow path to wealth and unveils the truth about building real freedom in your lifetime, not at the end of it. This isn't just another personal finance book filled with dull advice like cut out your lattes or save 10% of your income. No, this is a wake-up call, a raw and unapologetic message that says if you want extraordinary wealth, you can't afford to follow the ordinary rules. Most of us are raised on the script of the slow lane. Go to school, get good grades, graduate from college, land a job, climb the corporate ladder, save diligently, invest in the stock market, and one day, decades from now, you'll be able to retire and live the life of your dreams. But here's the harsh truth, that script rarely works. It leaves people burned out, broke, and bitter, realizing too late that the life they wanted was always just out of reach. DeMarco calls this the slow lane for a reason. It's slow, it's uncertain, and it's dependent on factors outside your control. What if you lose your job? What if inflation eats away your savings? What if the stock market crashes right before you retire? The slow lane promises security, but in reality, it's a gamble disguised as safety. On the other side, there's the sidewalk. This is where people live paycheck to paycheck, spending every dollar they earn, sometimes even more, relying on credit cards to fund a lifestyle they can't truly afford. The sidewalk isn't just for the visibly broke. It also traps those who appear rich on the outside, fancy cars, expensive clothes, luxury vacations, yet behind the scenes they're drowning in debt. The sidewalk is financial slavery masked as freedom. But there is another road, a road less traveled yet far more rewarding. This is the fast lane. Unlike the slow lane, the fast lane doesn't ask you to wait 40 years to enjoy your life. It doesn't tell you to hope the market is kind or to pray for retirement at 65. Instead, it's about building a system that creates wealth rapidly by leveraging time, scale, and control. It's about stepping away from the consumer mindset and stepping into the producer mindset. It's about shifting from being a cog in someone else's machine to owning the machine. The Millionaire Fastlane begins with a shift in thinking. Wealth isn't just about money, it's about freedom. Freedom of time, freedom of choice, freedom from bosses, freedom from financial anxiety. And that freedom, DeMarco argues, doesn't have to come decades later. It can come within a few short years if you dare to take the road less traveled. To understand why the fast lane is so powerful, we first need to examine the slow lane lie that so many of us have been sold. Think back to your childhood. What did the adults around you teach you about money? Perhaps it was to study hard, get a secure job, live below your means, and save for retirement. Perhaps you were told that debt is dangerous, that the stock market is your friend, and that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. While these principles aren't inherently wrong, they are painfully incomplete. For example, yes, compound interest is powerful, but let's be honest. If you start saving $500 a month at age 25 and invest it diligently for 40 years at a 7% return, you'll end up with over $1 million by the time you're 65. Sounds great, right? But here's the problem. You'll be 65. What good is money if you're too old to fully enjoy it? Can you climb mountains, travel the world, or start bold adventures when your knees ache and your energy is fading? Wealth that arrives at the end of your life is wealth that's too late. The fast lane is about creating wealth young enough to enjoy it. It's not about gambling on lottery tickets, chasing quick fixes, or falling for get-rich-quick scams. It's about engineering a business, a system, or a vehicle that allows you to multiply your efforts, reach millions, and earn money even when you're not actively working. DeMarco himself is living proof of this philosophy. He didn't become rich by climbing the corporate ladder or by waiting for a retirement fund to grow. He built a business around a need he identified, scaled it, and eventually sold it for millions, giving him the freedom to live life on his terms while still in his 30s. The first part of the Millionaire Fastlane is all about breaking illusions. It's about exposing the myths we've been conditioned to believe. One of the biggest illusions is that wealth equals income. People think that if they earn a six-figure salary, they are rich. But here's the truth: income is not wealth. Wealth is measured in time, not dollars. If you earn $200,000 a year but your lifestyle consumes $190,000 of it, you're just one job loss away from financial ruin. Meanwhile, someone earning far less but with systems that generate passive cash flow might actually be wealthier in terms of freedom. DeMarco introduces the concept of wealth as three pillars: family, fitness, and freedom. Money matters, but only as a vehicle that buys you time to enjoy the things that truly matter. Wealth is not just Ferraris and mansions. It's being able to wake up when you want, spend your day doing what fulfills you, and having the health and relationships to enjoy that freedom. In the slow lane, you trade your time for money, hoping that one day the trade will stop. In the fast lane, you build something that decouples your time from your income, creating systems where money works for you, not the other way around. Think about McDonald's. The founder didn't become wealthy by flipping burgers. He became wealthy by building a system, a franchise model that scaled globally. Think about Amazon. Jeff Bezos didn't get rich by selling one book at a time. He created a platform that allowed millions of transactions to happen every day, without his direct involvement. These are fast lane strategies, business models built on leverage, scale, and control. But before you can build such systems, you need to break free from the cultural hypnosis of the slow lane. That's why DeMarco spends so much time dissecting its flaws. The slow lane tells you to save a little, spend frugally, and wait patiently. But here's the hidden danger. It makes your entire life dependent on hope. You hope your job stays secure. You hope your health holds up until retirement. You hope the market doesn't crash. You hope inflation doesn't devour your savings. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is a prison. The fast lane is about control. It's about building a roadmap where you hold the steering wheel of your financial future. You don't wait for opportunities, you create them. You don't pray for wealth, you engineer it. You don't live for Fridays and dread Mondays. You design a life where every day feels like a choice. At its core, the Millionaire Fastlane is about mindset. If you think like the crowd, you'll get what the crowd gets: mediocrity. If you dare to think differently, to see money as a tool and business as a vehicle, you open the door to extraordinary freedom. And this, DeMarco argues, is not reserved for the lucky or the privileged. It's available to anyone willing to break free from the script and take the wheel of their own life. To truly grasp the essence of the fast lane, we need to look at how most people misunderstand wealth. Many believe that being wealthy means driving a luxury car, living in a big house, or taking exotic vacations. But these are just symbols, not substance. Real wealth is the ability to live life on your terms. It's not about the car in the driveway, but about the freedom of choice it represents. DeMarco argues that if you're chained to a job you hate just to afford those luxuries, then you're not rich, you're a prisoner. The sidewalkers often fall into this trap. They might look wealthy on the surface, but they're drowning in debt underneath. They equate high consumption with high status. But the fast lane teaches that consumption without production is a dead end. If your lifestyle isn't backed by assets or systems that generate income, then it's fragile and temporary. The slow lane, on the other hand, tells you to delay gratification endlessly. Live frugally, save every penny, invest in index funds, and maybe by the time you're 70, you'll finally be free. The problem is that life isn't guaranteed. Illness, accidents, or simply the passing of time can rob you of the chance to enjoy the fruits of your labor. DeMarco challenges this by saying, why wait until you're old? Why not build wealth young when you have the energy, health, and passion to truly live it? At the heart of the fast lane is the concept of leverage. While the slow lane relies on linear growth, you trade time for money, hour by hour, paycheck by paycheck. The fast lane relies on exponential growth. By building businesses, products, or services that can scale beyond your personal effort, you create systems that multiply your impact. A teacher working in a classroom may impact 30 students a year, but a teacher who creates an online platform can impact millions. The difference is scale, and scale is what creates wealth. DeMarco breaks this down into the wealth equation. Wealth equals net profit plus asset value. In simple terms, it means you can create wealth in two ways: by generating ongoing income through your system, and by increasing the overall value of the system itself. When you build a business, not only can it generate cash flow, but it can also become an asset that can be sold for millions. This is how DeMarco himself escaped the slow lane. He built a business in the limousine industry, scaled it online, and eventually sold it, securing both ongoing income and a massive payday. Another key concept in the fast lane is control. In the slow lane, you're at the mercy of your boss, your company, the stock market, or the economy. You don't truly control your destiny, but in the fast lane, you design systems where you call the shots. That doesn't mean you control everything. Uncertainty is part of life. but you position yourself as the driver, not the passenger. The road metaphor is central to this philosophy. The sidewalk leads to poverty, the slow lane leads to mediocrity, but the fast lane, when driven correctly, leads to wealth and freedom. Yet, it's not without risks. Driving fast requires skill, courage, and strategy. Not everyone succeeds, but those who learn the rules of the road have a far greater chance of achieving extraordinary wealth than those who plod along in the slow lane, hoping for luck. DeMarco also emphasizes the importance of time. Time is the ultimate wealth because money without time is meaningless. If you have millions but no time to enjoy them, you're not truly rich. The fast lane seeks to maximize both money and time, creating a life where you can experience freedom now, not decades later. One of the mental shifts required to enter the fast lane is moving from being a consumer to being a producer. Most people spend their lives consuming, buying products, services, entertainment without ever thinking about who creates those things. The wealthy are on the other side. They are the producers. They create products, services, platforms, or systems that others consume. Instead of being the one buying iPhones, the fast laner asks, how can I create the next product that millions of people will buy? This doesn't mean you have to invent the next Amazon or Tesla. It simply means thinking in terms of creating value at scale. The fast lane is not about working harder. It's about working smarter, using systems, automation, and scale to break free from the limitations of trading time for money. DeMarco identifies 5 key commandments for the fast lane: the commandment of need, the commandment of entry, the commandment of control, the commandment of scale, and the commandment of time. Each of these is a lens through which you can evaluate business opportunities. The commandment of need says that your product or service must solve a real problem or fulfill a real need. Too many entrepreneurs fail because they create businesses based on passion rather than solving a genuine problem. Passion is great, but without need, passion is just a hobby. The commandment of entry emphasizes that the easier it is to enter a market, the harder it will be to succeed. If anyone can do it, competition will be fierce, margins will be thin, and success will be limited. Fast laners look for opportunities with barriers to entry, where not everyone can easily compete. The commandment of control reminds us that you must control your business, not depend entirely on others. If your business relies solely on one platform, like selling only through Amazon or building only on YouTube, you're vulnerable. True fast lane businesses maintain control of their destiny. The commandment of scale is about impact. If your business can only serve a handful of customers, your income will always be capped. But if it can serve thousands, millions, or even billions, then your potential for wealth multiplies exponentially. Finally, the commandment of time teaches that your business must eventually detach your time from your income. If you're still trading hours for dollars, even if at a higher rate, you haven't truly escaped the slow lane. A scalable business allows you to earn even when you're not directly working, through systems, automation, or delegation. These commandments form the foundation of the fast lane roadmap. They are not theories, but tested principles that separate the successful from the struggling. As you internalize these ideas, you begin to see the world differently. You stop looking for jobs and start looking for opportunities. You stop thinking about how to save pennies and start thinking about how to create millions. DeMarco warns, however, that the fast lane is not easy. It requires sacrifice, discipline, and relentless effort. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. In fact, he criticizes get-rich-quick fantasies as much as he criticizes the slow lane. The difference is that the fast lane is a get-rich-quicker strategy. Quicker compared to the slow decades of the slow lane, but still requiring years of hard, smart work. He shares stories of entrepreneurs who toiled for years before their breakthroughs. But when those breakthroughs came, they were life-changing, creating wealth and freedom in a fraction of the time the slow lane would demand. This is the promise of the fast lane. It's not guaranteed, it's not easy, but it is possible, and for those who dare to drive it, it's the only road worth traveling. DeMarco spends a lot of time breaking down the myths people hold about money because unless you unlearn those lies, you cannot embrace the truth of the fast lane. One of the biggest lies is the belief that your job will make you rich. People cling to careers, climbing corporate ladders, chasing promotions, thinking that if they just earn more money, they'll finally be free. But here's the trap: the more they earn, the more they spend. Lifestyle inflation eats away at every raise, every bonus, every promotion. They get a bigger house, a nicer car, more expensive vacations, and before they know it, they are chained tighter than ever to their paycheck. Their job is not a source of freedom, it's a golden cage. Another myth is that debt is always bad. DeMarco clarifies that consumer debt is destructive, yes, but strategic debt can be a tool. Borrowing money to buy things that lose value is foolish, but borrowing money to build assets that generate income can accelerate your journey. The problem is most people never learn the difference. Schools don't teach financial intelligence. They teach you to be a good employee, not a free individual. The system is designed to create workers who follow orders, not entrepreneurs who create wealth. That's why DeMarco emphasizes self-education. If you want to be in the fast lane, you cannot rely on schools or employers to teach you. You must take responsibility for your own learning. Read books, study markets, understand systems, and most importantly, take action. Knowledge without action is useless. The fast lane is paved not just with ideas, but with execution. Another illusion that traps people is the obsession with retirement. The slow lane tells you to sacrifice your best years working long hours, saving diligently, and then finally at 65 you can retire and enjoy life. But DeMarco asks, why should you spend your youth working for a life you may never live to see? Why not create systems that allow you to live your dreams now, not decades later? Retirement should not be an age, it should be a number. A financial state where your income from assets exceeds your expenses, giving you freedom regardless of your age. That is what the fast lane makes possible. Instead of deferring life, you design life. The psychological shift required is massive. Most people fear risk. They want guarantees. They cling to security. But the irony is that the slow lane is far riskier than the fast lane. In the slow lane, you gamble with your entire life on the hope that your job lasts, that your health holds, that your investments perform. In the fast lane, yes, you take risks, but they are calculated risks. You are in control, adapting, creating, and steering. It's like driving a sports car. Yes, you can crash, but you also have the power to accelerate, to change lanes, to navigate your own path. Which is truly riskier, being a passenger with no control or being the driver with full control? DeMarco's answer is clear. To move into the fast lane, you must change how you view money. Stop seeing it as something to hoard or to spend mindlessly. See it as a tool, a seed that can be planted to grow trees that bear fruit for years. The fast laner doesn't just buy things with money, they buy freedom. They buy time, they buy choices. Imagine two people. One earns a high salary, works 80 hours a week, has no time for family, and lives in constant stress. The other earns less on paper, but has a business that runs without him, giving him free time, peace of mind, and the ability to live life fully. Who is wealthier? The answer is obvious, yet society celebrates the first person while ignoring the second. The Millionaire Fastlane is about flipping that script. DeMarco also dismantles the idea that luck is the main ingredient of wealth. People love to look at successful entrepreneurs and say they were lucky. Lucky to be in the right place at the right time. Lucky to have the right idea. But luck is just preparation meeting opportunity. Those who work relentlessly, who build systems, who position themselves in markets, they create their own luck. It's not chance, it's choice. You cannot win the lottery of wealth if you don't even buy a ticket. And in business, buying a ticket means taking action. The slow lane crowd avoids action. They procrastinate, they analyze, they wait for certainty. The fast laner acts. They test, they experiment, they learn by doing. Failure is not the end, it's feedback. Every setback is a lesson that brings you closer to success. The sidewalkers fear failure. The slow laners avoid failure. But the fast laners embrace failure as part of the journey. This mindset shift is crucial. If you see failure as fatal, you will never leave the safety of the slow lane. But if you see failure as tuition, as the price of learning, you will keep moving forward until you succeed. The fast lane is not about being fearless, it's about acting in spite of fear. It's about choosing courage over comfort, growth over stagnation. DeMarco's story illustrates this perfectly. He didn't know everything when he started his business. He made mistakes, faced challenges, doubted himself. But he kept going. He built, refined, learned, and eventually he succeeded. His story is not unique. Every fast laner goes through the same process. The difference between those who make it and those who don't is persistence. Most people quit when it gets hard. Fast laners push through knowing that the prize on the other side is freedom, not just money. The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco begins with a deeper dive into what real wealth truly means. DeMarco makes it clear that wealth is not just about having money in the bank. It's about having three critical freedoms: freedom of time, freedom of choice, and freedom of control. You could be earning millions a year, But if your life is tied to a boss, a schedule, or a system that controls you, you are not truly wealthy. On the other hand, someone who has built systems that earn for them while they sleep, who controls their time, who decides how to live each day without external pressure, that person has achieved wealth even if the number in their bank account is smaller. He emphasizes the difference between looking rich and being rich. Too many people chase symbols of wealth, luxury cars, designer clothes, big houses. But these are just illusions of wealth. True wealth is not about showing off. It is about designing a life where you don't have to ask for permission to live on your own terms. DeMarco introduces the concept of vehicles. A vehicle is the medium through which you travel the road to wealth. In the sidewalk, your vehicle is a job. In the slow lane, your vehicle is usually a career combined with traditional investments. But in the fast lane, your vehicle is entrepreneurship, building a business or system that solves problems for many people and scales beyond your personal effort. He warns that most people choose weak vehicles that can never carry them to freedom. A job is a weak vehicle because it depends on trading your time for money, and time is limited. Even a high-paying career is still a weak vehicle if it ties you down. The only strong vehicle that has the potential to take you to extraordinary wealth is a business that leverages scale, control, and systems. The beauty of the fast lane is that it divorces your income from your time. You build once and the system continues to earn again and again. Think of books, apps, platforms, or services. Once built, they can reach millions without you repeating the work every time. DeMarco then dives into the 5 fast lane commandments: need, entry, control, scale, and time, known as the sense framework. The first is need. Every great business solves a problem. If your focus is on making money, you will likely fail because the world does not care about your need to get rich. The world cares about its problems. To succeed, you must stop asking, "How can I make money?" and start asking, "What problem can I solve? Whose life can I improve? How can I create value?" Money is simply a reflection of the value you've created in other people's lives. When you focus on needs, money follows naturally. The second is entry. This refers to barriers to entry. The easier it is for anyone to enter a business, the harder it is to succeed because competition is endless. For example, starting a YouTube channel or a dropshipping store has low entry barriers, which means millions of others can do it too. But if you build something that is harder to replicate, you stand a stronger chance of creating long-term success. Entry doesn't mean you must invent something revolutionary. It means you should aim for a business where not everyone can instantly copy you. The third is control. If you don't control your business, you are at risk. If your entire income depends on Amazon, YouTube, or any platform that you don't own, you are vulnerable because they can change rules anytime. True wealth requires control over your business decisions, pricing, and customer relationships. Control also means not putting your future in someone else's hands. The fourth is scale. Wealth comes from serving many people, not just a few. If your business can only serve 10 people, your income will always be limited. But if your system can serve 10,000 or 10 million people, your income potential is limitless. Scale is about leverage. Leveraging technology, media, distribution, and systems so your impact and reach expand far beyond your individual effort. The fifth is time. True fast-lane businesses detach your time from your income. If you stop working and your income stops too, you are not in the fast lane. A fast-lane business continues generating income even when you're not actively working, because systems, automation, employees, or digital assets keep it running. DeMarco provides vivid examples. Think of authors who write one book but earn royalties for decades. Think of app developers who build an app once but sell it millions of times. Think of platforms like Uber or Airbnb that connect millions of people without the founders needing to drive cars or rent out apartments themselves. These examples highlight how the fast lane breaks the direct link between hours worked and money earned. He also warns against common traps. Many people believe they are entrepreneurs, but in reality, they are just self-employed, still trading time for money. A freelancer, consultant, or small business owner who has to work every hour to earn is not truly in the fast lane. The fast lane requires creating systems, not just self-employment. He draws a sharp line. Self-employment is owning a job, but entrepreneurship is owning a system. One gives you work, the other gives you freedom. Another powerful insight he shares is the idea of divorcing wealth from age. Society tells us wealth is for the old, something you achieve after decades of sacrifice. But DeMarco shows how the fast lane can deliver wealth while you're still young and healthy enough to enjoy it. Why wait until you're 65 to start living your dreams? Why not design a system that gives you freedom in your 30s or 40s? He breaks the myth that getting rich slowly is safe. In reality, it is the riskiest path because it depends on factors you can't control. Market returns, inflation, job stability, and your health over decades. On the other hand, the fast lane puts control back in your hands because you create value directly for others, and the results are immediate and scalable. He shares his own story to make it real. As a young man, he struggled financially and drove limousines to make ends meet. But instead of staying stuck, he saw a problem. Customers had a hard time finding reliable limousine services online. He built a website that solved this problem, and soon it was generating income on autopilot. It wasn't easy, but it was scalable. Over time, his website served thousands of customers without him having to personally drive the cars. That system became his fast lane vehicle and allowed him to retire young. The lesson is powerful. Stop thinking like a consumer, start thinking like a producer. Consumers spend money and chase illusions of wealth. Producers create value, solve problems, and build systems that generate wealth. If you want to change your life, you must shift from being a consumer to being a producer. He also makes a bold statement. Your road to wealth is paved with value, not money. Money is just the byproduct of creating value at scale. If you want $1 million, you must help 1 million people or solve $1 million problem. Instead of asking for money, ask how you can deliver massive value to others. This part of the book closes with a challenge. DeMarco urges readers to stop making excuses, to stop waiting for perfect ideas, and to start acting. The fast lane is not about luck, it's about creating systems that serve others. If you are willing to work harder than the average person today, you can live better than the average person tomorrow. But if you stay on the sidewalk or the slow lane, decades of your life will slip away while you wait for promises that may never come true. The Millionaire Fastlane is not easy, but it is worth it. It demands sacrifice, creativity, and courage, but the reward is ultimate freedom, the ability to live life on your terms without waiting for permission. And that, DeMarco insists, is the true definition of wealth. Wealth isn't just about money. Money is only a tool, not the destination. The real wealth is about control over your time, freedom from financial stress, and the ability to live life on your own terms. Many people misunderstand wealth as a number in their bank account. They chase 6 figures, then 7 figures, believing that happiness lies at the next milestone. But MJ DeMarco explains that true wealth is the combination of 3 elements: family, fitness, and freedom. Without health, your millions are useless. Without family and relationships, your success is empty. Without freedom, you are still enslaved by a system even if you earn a high income. And that is why the traditional path to money, the slow lane, never delivers real wealth. The slow lane convinces you to sacrifice your youth for a possible payoff at retirement. You work hard, save hard, invest modestly, and wait for decades. But the flaw is simple. You are gambling your most precious resource, time. If you lose money, you can earn it back. But if you lose time, it's gone forever. That is why time is the most valuable currency. So the question isn't just how much money you can earn, but how quickly you can buy back your time. This is the foundation of the fast lane. Unlike the slow lane, where your income is tied to your job or hours worked, the fast lane focuses on creating systems that separate your time from your income. A system can be a business, an automated process, a scalable product, or a platform. The principle is simple. If your income depends on your direct effort, you are stuck in the slow lane. But if your income flows even when you sleep, you are in the fast lane. Imagine you are a doctor earning $500,000 per year. That sounds impressive, but every dollar is tied to your presence in the hospital. If you stop working, the income stops. Now imagine you create a digital product, a mobile app, or a business system. You put in the work once, but it continues to generate income without your constant involvement. That is the power of separation. Your time is no longer the bottleneck for your wealth. MJ DeMarco calls this finding the right vehicle. If you're in the wrong vehicle, it doesn't matter how fast you drive. You will never reach the destination. For example, a job is like riding a bicycle. No matter how fast you pedal, you are limited by your physical effort. On the other hand, a business system is like driving a Ferrari. Once you start the engine, the speed multiplies beyond human limits. But not every business qualifies as a fast lane vehicle. Many people mistakenly believe that opening a small restaurant, freelancing, or doing network marketing is a fast lane. But if the business still requires you to trade hours for dollars, you are still stuck in the slow lane, just disguised as self-employment. The true fast lane vehicle must have scalability, leverage, and independence from your direct time. That means you should aim to create value that can reach thousands, even millions, without requiring you to physically be there every time. Think about platforms like Amazon, YouTube, or Uber. These companies provide services to millions of people at the same time. The founders don't need to personally serve each customer. The system does it for them. That is why they scale into billions. DeMarco emphasizes that to enter the fast lane, you must align yourself with one of the 5 fast lane commandments. These are need, entry, control, scale, and time, together remembered as the acronym NEXT. First is need. Your business must solve a real problem for real people. Too many entrepreneurs chase trends or vanity projects that don't solve anything meaningful. If no one truly needs what you're offering, your business is doomed before it starts. Second is entry. The lower the barrier to entry, the tougher the competition. That's why get-rich-quick schemes like dropshipping or simple affiliate marketing attract so many people. The entry barrier is low, and so is the chance of long-term success. To succeed in the fast lane, choose opportunities where the entry barrier is high enough to keep out the masses but possible to overcome with effort and learning. Third is control. If you don't control your business, you don't control your wealth. For example, if you rely entirely on Amazon, YouTube, or another platform, your income is at their mercy. A single policy change can destroy your business overnight. True fast laners build businesses where they have significant control over the process, pricing, and customer relationship. Fourth is scale. If your business cannot scale, you cannot achieve extraordinary wealth. If your income is tied to one client or a small local market, you are capped. But if your product or service can reach thousands or millions, your potential is limitless. This is why digital products, technology, and franchises often dominate fast lane strategies. Fifth is time. The business must eventually separate your income from your time. If you are stuck working 80 hours a week to keep the business alive, you are not in the fast lane. The system should work without your constant involvement. That doesn't mean you don't work hard. It means you work hard to build the machine, and then the machine works hard for you. Think of these commandments as a filter. If your business idea doesn't pass all 5, it's likely not a true fast lane. Many people fail because they violate one or more commandments. For example, they start a business out of passion but forget to check if there is a real need. Or they chase easy entry markets where competition is brutal. Or they build businesses controlled by third parties like Amazon, losing control. MJ DeMarco warns, if you want extraordinary results, you must play by extraordinary rules. That means avoiding shortcuts, avoiding copycat ideas, and focusing on value creation at scale. This is not easy, but that is why the rewards are extraordinary. The fast lane is not about working less, it's about working smarter. It's about choosing a vehicle that magnifies your efforts. You put in years of hard work, but instead of trading time for money, you trade systems for freedom. DeMarco compares it to building a money tree. In the slow lane, you are picking up pennies one by one, year after year. In the fast lane, you plant a tree, nurture it, and one day it produces fruit endlessly. That is how wealth is created, by creating systems that live beyond your daily effort. The key takeaway here is simple. If your business or career violates the next commandments, you are still in the slow lane. To truly shift to the fast lane, your business must meet all 5. That is the roadmap from trading time for money to building lasting wealth. And once you understand this framework, the next step is execution. Turning these principles into action, designing the right vehicle, and building the system that will buy back your time. In the final part of the Millionaire Fastlane, MJ DeMarco pulls together every lesson he has shared and shows us why the real definition of wealth is not just money sitting in a bank account. Wealth is a combination of 3 things: family, fitness, and freedom. Family represents the relationships you build and the love you experience. Fitness represents your health and energy to enjoy life. And freedom represents your ability to live life on your own terms without being chained to a job, a boss, or even a business that owns you. Money matters, but money is only the tool, not the goal. DeMarco emphasizes that most people confuse wealth with luxury. A fast car, a big mansion, expensive vacations, these may be results, but they are not the essence of wealth. The essence is control over your time, the ability to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want. He calls it the ability to command your life, not just rent it by the hour. The Fastlane path gives you that command because you are building systems, processes, and assets that generate money without consuming your time endlessly. That's the key difference between being rich on paper and being truly wealthy in life. The final part of the book also tackles the biggest trap of all, complacency. Many people start building something, taste a little bit of success, and then stop growing. They let comfort kill their hunger. But DeMarco warns that the fast lane requires constant adaptation, innovation, and awareness. The world changes fast. Markets evolve, competitors enter, and technology transforms industries overnight. The only way to stay in the fast lane is to keep learning, keep building, and keep serving your customers better than anyone else. That's why he reminds us that the real fuel of the fast lane is not greed, it is impact. If your business serves millions of people, you will naturally create millions of dollars. If your business solves problems that people truly care about, money will follow as a byproduct. Therefore, instead of chasing money, chase needs, chase value, chase opportunities to make someone's life easier, better, or happier. DeMarco ends the book with a simple but life-changing thought. You only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough. Most people waste their best years chasing a paycheck, waiting for retirement, and hoping that someday they will finally live. But the fast lane rejects this entire idea. Why wait for retirement to live when you can design your life today? The Millionaire Fastlane is about collapsing time, about creating in 10 years what most people fail to create in a lifetime. But the cost of entry is courage. You must have the courage to be different, to say no when others say yes, to step off the sidewalk of conformity and onto the road that most people are too scared to walk. If you want extraordinary results, you cannot live an ordinary life. You must be willing to sacrifice temporary pleasures for long-term freedom. You must be willing to work harder than anyone else for a short period of time, so that you can enjoy life in a way most people never can. In the end, DeMarco reminds us of the three paths once again. The sidewalk leads to poverty, the slow lane leads to mediocrity, and the fast lane, if driven with wisdom, leads to freedom, wealth, and happiness. The choice is yours. Will you spend your life trading time for money, or will you create something that liberates you from that trap forever? Will you wait until you are 65 to finally live, or will you take control today? The Millionaire Fastlane is not about chasing money, it is about chasing life. Money is just the engine, freedom is the destination. And the faster you take action, the sooner you arrive.